very greatness-filled day to each and every single one of you watching. Welcome to Lead with Intention, where every single week, I, your host, Ambereen Hameed, shows up here ready to serve you at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's truly an honor to cross paths with you today. I want you to know that you are granting me the most important commodity in this world, which is your time. And I will not and do not take that lightly, and appreciating every single one of you for being here and joining us. Welcome to Spanglish World Network and Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Remember to download our application, Zingo TV application on your respective app stores, iOS, Android, any smart TV 2016 on forward, the full Roku lineup, Amazon, Chromecast, you name it, we're there. And it's all completely free of cost. So go ahead, download that app, engage with us. You can actually talk to us live, drop us chats and comments, and I can really leverage all of you in. However, I do need that engagement. So as you're downloading this application, let us know what's working well and how we can improve your experience. So that way we can also lead a little bit more intentionally. Today's guest is somebody who I have tried several times to be here, but by God's grace, today is the day. So Natasha Romanelli is a founder and CEO of Raise Your Vibes, a healing and empowering center for ambitious, heart-led women. She's a mother of two vividly grounded little humans, teenage boys. Can you believe it? They're great. They're her greatest masterpiece, she says. So you know what? We're going to really have to dive into that, Tasha. And she's also a recovering perfectionist, workaholic, and an adrenaline junkie. You can already see why she's on this show. However, she's a very kind, honest, and a loving human being who strives to be her best and really develop mastery in all of her areas of life. And her biggest thing right now is actually healing through energy while she navigates her own energy by bringing a calm mindset, healthy boundaries, and a positive attitude, which will allow her to level up not only herself, but also her business. Welcome to the show, Tasha.
Oh, thank you. So good to be here. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful intro.
Well, it's all true. It's all true. So a little background for all of you watching here. Tasha and I literally bumped into each other at it was a very random, very divine plan. I was sitting at a summit, at a coaching summit, and the lady next to me actually ended up moving, and Tasha swapped seats with her. And from that moment, it was I think hours passed by. We didn't know. We learned together. We walked together. We took pictures together. We went to a coffee shop. It felt so natural. So I really want to ask you, tell us something about you. What is it that you do and who are you, Tasha?
Yeah, so good. I love that. Thanks for sharing that memory. That was really divine intervention for sure. Just to sort of address that in the sense that when we talk about energy and connecting with like energy, your energy, my energy in that moment was a magnet. And we just literally were attracting each other. And we've stayed in touch ever since. And I love that. And we've developed a friendship from that. And it brings me so much joy to have you in my inner circle. So that's wonderful. So never question God's plan. Never question the divine intervention when meeting new people. It can be definitely really challenging in today's time with lack of trust. But when you genuinely feel a deep connection, listen to that, because that's your intuition guiding you as your North Star into helping you grow and evolve to the best version of you. And that is really ultimately where I am in my life right now, who I am. So I do run a healing and empowerment center for women. I'm a Reiki master, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a meditation teacher, and a mindset coach. All of these have helped me personally to live my best life, truthfully. And I can't say it's all rainbows and unicorns, because that is not real in the sense of, life. There's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns. But it's being able to navigate through those twists and turns and human suffering and deep, heavy human emotions that we can navigate in a way that supports our growth and development. And so my journey right now is all about self-development, but helping other women get through that as well. And so, one of the things that I love to say, and maybe this, I don't even know where I heard this, maybe I came up with it, maybe I didn't, I don't know, it's been in my head for a long time, which is when you sit with yourself in meditation, you can learn to know yourself so that you can be your true self. And that is part of the practice that I teach. And when you really start to understand who you are and how you navigate through your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and how you connect with other people, that's where self mastery starts to begin. And using the entry or modality, if you will, of energy, because everything is energy. And when you understand that, you can really change your life in a way that supports you and your loved ones in the best possible way. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. That's what I do. It's who I am. As you mentioned, Ambreen, I am also a mother of 2 teenage boys, and that's a big, huge lesson in my life. They're constantly my teachers, my greatest teachers, my masters, if you will, and I love it. It's a challenge, and I embrace them every single day. And as they get older, those problems, or you think that they're small little problems, start to become bigger problems or bigger challenges. And having the right mindset and being able to navigate through those challenges and problems as they evolve and we evolve as parents is so important in their development and future generations moving forward. So the work that we're doing is like huge work, because it's not just for today, it's for the future as well.
Mm. And I love that you said that, because you also know I'm a big, very big proponent of the little humans who, regardless of how big you get, it's just big little humans, right? So,
That's right.
and it's true, they are the future. Every single one of us consciously understands the responsibility of being a parent, which is true. Like, I will tell a lot of people, like, they literally come to teach us who to be, what to be, where we're miserably failing. What you could be the best, like, and they'll still give you some feedback, like, oh, there's still growth. And I think when we surrender and say, you know what, God, you planted these little humans in our lives for a reason. These specific kids, it's really to allow us to keep climbing that journey of personal development, self mastery, conscious parenting. However, I do want to go back to that one specific thing you said, and it kind of stood out in my head. Is you said that people can actually get past suffering, and energy is a way that it can heal through that. So, for our audience members who are listening, and even for my own self, how does somebody practice that?
Mm. Well, I just got like a full body goosebump as you said that, because that is such a great question to ask. And thank you for asking it. I believe that in order to change what isn't serving us, we have to have a clear understanding and a knowing first. I, I wouldn't say in all cases, but as long as it feels true, then you can move forward and evolve. But it definitely helps to work with the cognitive mind. And that's where the mindset really is huge. And understanding how energy works. So, what I mean by that is we need to learn, educate ourselves. We have to have a clear understanding of what it is that we're working with. It's like a science, right? It is a science. It's like
Mm-hmm.
1 + 2 is this, is 3. And I'm not even going to try to do math, but like, I don't even know why that example came up, but it's like basically it is a science that as you observe and have a clearer understanding how things work, then you have the ability to manipulate it, to change it, to evolve it, and play with it. Just like you would play with drawing. 1 minute you're going to draw a simple shape, and then you're like, what if I expand it a little differently and try to convert it into a 3-dimensional shape, but on a piece of paper, a 2D plane? to what if I were to actually build a 3-dimensional sculpture of that drawing, right? So it stems from a knowing, which then evolves. And that's where the creative process comes involved. That's us as humans, we're creative. And when it comes to energy, the first thing we need to learn and understand, everyone that is listening, is let's go back to the first law of the universe, which is the law of vibration. So everything vibrates. And when everything vibrates, it creates a frequency, which is energy. And so when we start to realize that everything is energy, then we have data, we have information, and we can say, okay, is this working or not? How do we want to change it? How do we want to evolve it? And then we apply that in our suffering. So, for example, if, we'll talk about my children who are my growing teens, and they have a lot of their own opinions, which I embrace and I love that about them. But it may be conflicting to my own opinions and based on my life experiences, and I may not agree with them. So I have to sit back, pause to respond. Now that is work in itself. Instead of reacting, right? I'm going to pause, take a moment, process what that they might have said to me, recognize within me that I'm being triggered, that there's some sort of reactive triggering that's happening, and then question, okay, well, where is this coming from? Is this my own trauma? Is this my own suffering? Do I want to apply that suffering onto my child as I respond back to them? And so it's all energy. And so when you start to understand that, you are then able to change it, because everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy, your feelings, your emotions are energy. Okay, it's all data, all of it. But you, as the master of your own life, when you take a step back and say, okay, is this working for me or not? How I react, how did they respond? Did they react back? Did they bark back at me? Are we now in a yelling argument? Or are we having an honest, real conversation, a debate where we're allowed to each have our own opinions, and we don't have to be rude or argumentative to each other, but we can actually just discuss it and understand where each other are coming from. That takes a lot of time to do that. That's a practice in itself. But knowing that everything is energy, your thoughts, feelings, actions, how you choose to connect with other people, pausing to respond, creating the awareness, accepting where you are within that awareness, owning it, and then deciding to do something about it with intentional action, which I call in my coaching program the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. And so that's the work that I help people do because of my own experience that I have. And it's the pause to respond, to accept, and then take new action. So that is how we can move through our human suffering, by working through energy, by understanding the vibration. What is the data that is coming through? How is it affecting us, right? We don't have to say, oh, it's coming in at a certain amount of hertz, megahertz of vibration. We could say that, but no, it could come through, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm irritated, or I'm in love, or I'm feeling such an empowerment in myself, or right. So we can kind of acknowledge the energy as a feeling. It's that bridge. And once we acknowledge how we're feeling, then we can respond to it and say, does this serve me or not? Does that make sense?
100%. We're on the same frequency. So I think that is so true, right? Quite often I really do think, every single time, and for my own kids, the way that we practice it, we're like, your reaction to others' action is a predicament of who you are, right? However, it can't be something that's reactive, right? So it has to be thought through. And I think that's such a great example that you've given. we have to learn to embrace those emotions regardless of what they are, whether it be love, whether it be anger. And I think quite often we don't give ourselves the grace to say, I don't know why, but I'm like really just mad at
Mhm.
someone saying something, which makes complete, like, it doesn't make sense. So then a lot of times, I also think once we are aware of it, asking that question of even where is this stemming from, and just pausing
Mhm.
will literally open up to the plethora of data that comes in where your mind is now connecting dots and giving you like an answer on a platter. However, I don't know if everybody, if many people take that time to pause and to react. So let's dive in a little bit further. And acceptance is something that you and I both know. Like, I love talking about acceptance. And I think when we accept, we cannot judge. So when we're looking at our lives, many of our lives, people who have maybe has done 20 years of work like you have, or isn't a master at Reiki and yoga and meditation and doesn't really, think of it as a mindset coach, for the people who are listening, who are like, I don't even want to, I'm aware of it, or maybe I'm not even aware of it, maybe I don't want to come aware of it. How do you allow them the grace and the kindness to say, you know what? No, I can do this. I should do this.
Yeah, great question. Anytime I will say just what you've asked is anytime we hear the word should, anytime the word should comes into anyone's vocabulary, is someone else's idea of how you can react or how you should react in life.
Mm,
And so, as a woman who is all about self empowerment, I want to be able to think for myself. And I may agree with others about certain perspectives and things like that. But what I will say is let's be mindful of when we hear you should be doing this or you should say this. Anytime the word should comes into your ears or out of your mouth, that right there is an opportunity to pause and respond. That's a great little indicator that you've just, as a gift, you've given everyone to listen that's listening to this right now or watching this. Because we have become so deeply conditioned by how we are raised, either through our families, through the generations, our ancestors, to society, to culture,
mm-hmm,
to how much we, consume social media. All of that is programming. And so what I would always offer up to my clients is we need to start being mindful of our behavior, of our thoughts, and our emotions. And that requires us to get clarity. So it comes back to what I was saying before. What do you want in your life? Right? So, for example, I'm saying I want to be my own self thinker, right? Like I want to be able to think
mm-hmm.
for myself. So that is a very clear intention that I've set for myself. So we need to have a clear intention. Without intention, then it's just open for whatever. Like it's just chaos. It's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Unorganized chaos, okay? So that's where now, if you think about that in an energy perspective, it's literally like a cosmic war of energy just doing this.
Mm,
So no wonder why people feel overwhelmed or they've got anxiety or they're stressed out or they can't sleep at night because they've got the monkey mind and it's overactive, right? Or they feel pressurized. All of these things that become a human outcome of our experiences is because we don't start with intention. Start your morning with intention. Today, I want to feel joy. That's a beautiful right? I want to feel joy. Okay. So then that becomes this beautiful thread that you weave in and out throughout your day. And it becomes a thought. So when I first started doing this practice, what helped me was to wear a mala bracelet, right? So I used to make mala bracelets with, so it was like I could see the bracelet and I look at the bracelet and it reminds me, oh yeah, my intention is joy. I want to have a joyous day today.
mm,
So if I'm in a meeting or if I'm walking, if I'm having an argument with someone or there's a confrontation that's about to happen, bracelets right there. It's on me. So now I could say, okay, in those moments, how do I bring joy in this? Is there an opportunity to find joy in this? Right? I start to become my own coach and ask myself these questions before reacting. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sure, we're going to mess up. We're going to forget. It happens. That's life. But when you keep committed to that practice of setting a daily intention for yourself, things start to shift. And just like when we met, right? I was there with the intention, I want to connect with like-minded individuals who have or share similar values, core values as me, who have the ambition, the energy, and the drive to make a difference in the world, who are kind and loving, right? Who will be open to embracing other people. I set that intention. Boom, there you were. Boom, right? There was a bunch of other women that
Mm-hmm.
showed up too, right? Because I was open and I set that intention. And so when you set that intention and you're aware, back to the awareness piece, wow, I'm aware that I'm sitting in front or beside a woman who I feel shares similar core values as me in the sense of the intention I set for myself. Okay, I trust this. I'm going for it, but without any expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So, number one, set an intention. Number two is your attention. You need to have where you focused your attention. Okay, so that's what I was saying. It's like, what's that thread throughout the day? What's your focused attention to help bring you back into your intention? Right? It could be I'm open, I'm willing, I'm ready to find or experience joy in my life today. Every single moment that I breathe, I invite joy in. I'm open to that. I'm willing to experience it. I'm ready to experience it, right? And that starts to shift. That energy, your energy starts to, instead of the chaos and the overwhelm and the stress, things start to simmer and begin to find harmony. You become this musical instrument that starts to sing or to play a symphony. Now, it may not be for ears to hear, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
sound therapy, right? It's like the singing bowls, the crystal bowls, right? When you're playing
Mm-hmm.
bowls, it's a beautiful symphony. Or if you're listening to music, if you're listening to music where all instruments are out of tune and no one knows how to play, it's going to sound horrible. And you're going to be like, ugh, shut that off, right? Versus if you have a band that's together and they're playing in harmony and it's a beautiful symphony, you feel like you're in it and you just, oh, this feels wonderful, which is why music and sound therapy are such a great tool to help harmonize and rebalance your energy. But it's up to you to master it, right? External resources are great to start, but you have to decide. And that's where that intention setting comes in. Then your focused attention. And then the last is your attitude. Your attitude. How do you show up? If you've got the attitude of like, this is all woo woo, this is phony baloney, this is not in my camp, what is this person saying? I don't believe anything. Cool. To each their own. Believe what you believe. But if you don't show
Mm-hmm.
up with an attitude of being open and curious and to see where things may go, you're limiting yourself. And that's when you really start to hit the wall. You feel like you're stuck, you can't go further, right? You keep reliving the cycles and the patterns. You keep repeat, same suffering over and over and over again. You got to change that. And so your attitude needs to change towards it as well. And so it is a practice, but it is how I would always recommend to get started. Set an intention, put your focused attention on that intention, and then change your attitude and show up. Show up,
Yeah.
be open, become more expansive so that you can see the potential that exists for you.
I love it. I think it's such a beautiful way of having these formulas that are going to be here to help every single person listening. So remember, like for us, for me as well, every morning we have this ritual because what we decided, with three adolescents in the house is this morning wake up thing. It's not easy, right? So now my kids, I would go wake them up and they're like, you never woke us up. Second time, third time. I'm like, something has to change because they clearly open their eyes, they look at me, but then they go back to sleep. So now it's like this forced intention where I go there, wake them up, and until they give me a kiss, I will not leave their side. Why? Because what I have now conditioned them to do is the first thing that you do in the morning is you give your mom a kiss, and your mom, she will not leave until she knows that you are consciously awake to practice an action which tells you and I that you were woken up.
Yep.
And then we say, all right, you got 5 minutes, do whatever you want to do. I'll come back, go back and like really kindly wake them up. However, when those 5 minutes are up, we go back and we do a lot of prayers in the day, and especially like the way when we're eating, going outside, or into the taking a travel or going in your car, waking up in the morning. After that prayer, the first thing I say, I am joyful to be alive today. And then they have to say three things they're grateful for, and then they have to end with, today I'm the best version of me. I don't know how this came into existence. I just know something had to be done. And it literally began with give me a kiss to now they've really just set themselves up. And it used to be, I'm happy to be alive today. But recently I was watching this beautiful reel. I was talking about the different levels, like, okay, you can be happy, you can be joyful, you can be blissful. I'm like, so let's ramp it up a little bit from happy to be more joyful. And you're right, when the attitude shifts, the energy completely shifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other people will feel it too.
Yeah, and emotions change, right? And that's the thing. Emotion is energy, and your thoughts are energy, how you process the emotions. So in my practice, what we have is an emotional vibrational scale. And I work with the energy in the sense of, let's say there's like the horizon line. The horizon line is the most like grounded energy. Then you can either go below that horizon or you can go above it. Anything that is above it, let's call it high vibrational energy. Anything below it is lower vibrational energy. Now, I want to be clear, it's not bad energy and good energy. It's just energy at different frequencies, lower, higher. So the lower frequencies have a tendency to be more in the realm of our humanness. So the humanness, the human suffering, okay? So we talk about feeling unsafe, insecure, uncertain, overwhelmed, jealous, critical. You're comparing yourself to others, fear, anxiety, worry, depression, right? These are all very human emotions that we feel. And so that is on the lower scale. Now, again, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's important that we dip into these lower vibrations because we are human. We are human. That's our nature. When we start to go into the higher vibration is I feel safe. I am creative. I am confident in myself. I feel love. So when you're saying I am love, I am joy, now you're tapping into those higher frequencies, right? I have clarity. I am connected. I feel protected, right? Like when we start to climb into those higher vibrational feelings, okay, on the emotional scale, your energy rises. It gets higher because you are moving from your humanness into your spiritedness, okay, your highest self. And when we move into that higher level of self, what we're doing is we're tapping into our potential. And then it's our job to then take what we feel in those higher vibrations and then integrate it when we dip down into our humanness. So when we feel worried about our children or anyone for that matter, worried about our finances, worried about getting on the road, driving to your friend's house. Some people worry about driving on the highway, right? These are real fears that people have. So when we experience moments of joy, moments of bliss, moments of peace or connectedness, we take those feelings and then we invite them into those moments, feelings of when we are feeling worried, or when we are feeling jealous, or when we are being critical of ourselves and others, or when we're judging ourselves or judging others. That's what I'm saying. When you set an intention, in this moment of my human suffering, where can I find joy or peace, whatever those feelings you want to experience that you've set for yourself in your morning intention? And then ask yourself, where can I interject it in this moment? And it's not to say that you can never experience it, because it's not true. You have already experienced joy once in your life. Tap into that memory. That's where the mindset work comes in. Your mind doesn't know the difference if you are here in the present, the future, or the past. You get to navigate and decide where you are in the future or the past or the present. So you travel to the past in memory and experience that brought you joy. You may think, for me, it's like, okay, I remember the moment when, my son was born and it brought me so much joy. Instantly, I feel my heart swell up. I feel the love. I'm feeling so vibrant in that moment, even though I may be suffering through my own worries and fears, but I'm bringing that energy in that moment. And then once that feeling's there, that's when I can then consciously ask myself, in this moment, how can I navigate through this worry or this fear in joy? How can I be open to receive joy in this moment? And that is how we practice and evolve and grow through healing with energy. It's a big, big component.
Okay, that's such a beautiful, every single person who's watching, I'm still very, very, very grateful for you to come in, tune in, and really be mesmerized by Tasha the way that I am. I've got a plethora of notes that are going to be like, oh, yeah. If you think about it, quite often we do get down and we keep getting further and further down. However, if you can just invite a memory that will help you, ground you, even if let's say you're in low vibes and that's your humanness, and high vibes is your spirit or your soul, right? Like the soul's desires is the way that I thought about it. Is if you are in a low and you keep getting lower, focusing on that energy, it's going to get difficult. However, even if you can bump it up a little bit, think about just a moment, like literally said, my kiddo was born. That was such a happy, joyous moment for me, right? And so for me, that was like, every single one of us has something, a memory where you're like, man, that was just amazing. Like I took a trip with my sister to San Diego, completely unplanned, very spontaneous, and she's very much like an event planner, right? Well, what time? I was like, girl, we're not doing that. She goes, and everything that she planned didn't work out.
Right.
And everything that I had manifested just kept rolling. And she goes, that was one of the best trips I've taken in my life. And I can't believe how impromptu things were. But the key there was that energy that I noticed for myself. And so we're looking for dinner, and what we found out is that it was like Valentine's Day. Everyone has made like bookings and like months in advance. Everything's reserved. We go to 6 restaurants on her list, nothing. And I'm like, yeah, I like the vibe of this one. And she goes, what? I'm like, look at the vibe. I love it. We find out after we go there, we're eating, and the food is just delicious. We find out that it's been awarded and has all these like amazing things on this publication, that publication. Like, see, I brought you to an award-winning restaurant. And she was like, Api, I can't believe it. How do you do stuff like that? Yeah. And it's just what you're saying is when you allow your spiritual self, that higher vibe, not the body that we're like, I don't want to say cage inside, but the body that's hosting the soul, but really following through and saying, I deserve more. I want more. So you can already see why Tasha's on the show. Not only is she intentional, but she is remarkable and very eloquent in the way that she expresses and explains things to us. So you've shared a lot about yourself. Can you share something even more personal so that way we can get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah. Well, what do you want to know?
Girl, you serve it up.
What do you want to know? Something more personal. I mean, what I do is my work's life. This is this is my work. This is why I'm here. I'm a creative being. I love to create. One of my greatest gifts that I have is that I'm a seer. I see, right? So I am a highly in tuned individual, born this way from the earliest memory that I can recall of being 3 years old. It's not something I talk openly a lot about, but I have definitely talked about it, is that I see things that our physical eyes in this dimension don't always see. And so we know our eyes are limited. There's so much research and science behind our eyes. And, I see through the mind's eye, and I have visions and I see things. It started off with, having imaginary friends as a 3-year-old, being able to I could play with myself in the sense, like, I would be entertained for hours, just me and my ideas and my creativity. From playing Barbie in my dollhouse, and like just having conversations, and just I was fully entertained. Like, I didn't really need a friend because I was my own friend, and my imaginary friends were there to play
Yes.
with me. So something really personal is that I have the ability to connect to those on the other side, and those who have crossed over, those that have passed, so loved ones. And it's a beautiful gift. I feared it for most of my life. Back in 2014, I believe it was, I say it, I came out of the spiritual closet and started really sharing that with others, and helping others. And it was through my practice of Reiki where I gained the confidence and understanding of this gift, and how it can actually, it's not about me, it's here to be of service to others. And I love offering those type of readings for people. It's funny, it's this very in tune gift that I have. It's like, I listen to my intuition. I'm highly, highly in tuned. And things like people will pop up in my mind, either passed on or not. And those that are still around, they'll come into my head, and then I'll send them a message or a voice note saying, hey, checking in. You came to my mind. Hope you're well. Send them a beautiful message. And then I'll get a message back saying, how did you know I needed to hear this today? How did you know that this was going on today? And it's like, I don't really know, but I know, right? It's a knowing, and I just listen. And then I'm a conduit and a channel for that. So that can be pretty scary and intimidating, particularly in a world and society where we do deem, those who are clairvoyant as woo-woo, and not of, I don't know what the right way to say this, but I felt judged most of my life, basically. And so I lived in that fear. If we talk about, again, that scale, I lived in that fear of worry, of judgment, of how others would perceive me, because how I was raised, and being raised in, a time where we don't talk about these things publicly. This is behind closed doors. We don't want people to know that, we have these gifts, like, and I get it. I understand that. But as I got older, I needed to embrace it. And when I embraced it, again, back to the acceptance piece, right, of the process of the 3 A's, I'm aware this is my gift. Now I have to accept it. I have to accept it. And I can choose to either completely not embrace it or not, but that's the intentional action. And I've chosen to embrace it because every time I trust my intuition, every time, it always leads me down a path of true abundance and joy and love. And so I've just accepted who I am, and that's that. And it's part of my practice. So when I'm teaching, when I'm coaching, it's all integrated. When I'm doing Reiki, either distance healing or in person, right? It's all in tuned, and I'm tapped in. I'm a channel. And it's not about me. It's simply how I like to describe to people is like, I'm a television. You plug me in and I project. That's it. I may entertain, I may, share some stories, but it's that's what it is. I'm a channel that you plug in, tune in, and play. And so that is me. I'm just a conduit of that energy. I channel it, I tap into it. And when you start to master that, it's really fascinating, because this is where we get into like some really cool stuff where you can astral project, right? You can travel through the quantum field. You can tap into past lives, future lives, with the Akashic records, understanding your book of life. Like being able to teach people how to do these things, or as a vessel to support someone's journey, is like a really cool experience. I don't like to play in there all the time because that's like very high level dimension, like anything between like 6D to 12D and beyond. When we talk about dimensions, and I may be losing people here as I talk about this, but it is a dimension. And when you tap into those higher levels of frequency, it is beyond human, right? And so staying in those levels of those dimensions for long periods of time, call it cosmic energy, angelic energy, you're not grounded. And so being there for too long, it's like living life in the clouds, and that is not supporting us as humans by any means. So it's important that we come back to reality, ground ourselves, and again, take it as an experience, being able to witness it, right? And then be able to navigate through life and knowing that, yeah, we're not alone here, that there's so much more out there in the void, in the vastness that we have no idea about. Even science can't even catch up with it. And so, it's pretty wild. It is really cool to like experience those type of trippy experiences. But you can't stay there. You just can't. It's not supportive to our human race. But we can.
So I think for you and I, we know what our Reiki is, right? We kind of, that lingo was, kind of discovered when I first met you. And so for the audience member who are listening here, she's like, what is this Reiki she keeps talking about? We get the mindset coach, we get the yoga, we get the meditation. So that's my first question. The second one is, how did that help you step into owning this gift and then serving it up to people to better their lives?
For sure. Great question. Reiki is Japanese for universal life energy. It's a more modern healing modality, but it is ingrained in ancient healing traditions, and it's actually birthed from Jesus Christ, actually. So it's a journey and a story that we know of where Dr. Usui, who is our forefather of Reiki, was a minister, and as he was conducting a session, he was asked the question of like, how does Jesus heal with his hands? And he didn't have the answer, but it set a quest for him to learn. And so he went on a journey reading all sorts of scriptures, Buddhist scriptures, Hindu scriptures, and teachings, and try to get an idea of how Jesus was able to heal with his hands. So it's interesting, Reiki, while it is Japanese, it is rooted in Christianity. And so Dr. Usui couldn't figure it out. He didn't have the answers. And so he went on a journey to top of a mountain peak in Japan, where he meditated for 21 days and fasted for 21 days. And he had stones to help him like be able to count his days. And every day it was nothing. It was like crickets. I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I've got nothing. And then by the 21st day, as he was throwing his last stone and, about to give up in his quest and try to understand how Jesus heals through his hands, he started seeing symbols coming through in his meditation practice. And he then started to understand that certain ways of how Jesus was able to heal with his hands through the symbolism that he was receiving. But he didn't really understand it or how to use it at the time. And then as he was coming down the mountain, he stubbed his toe. And there was a little restaurant, or whatever you want to call it, a place for food, a pit stop down the mountain, where a father and his daughter were serving like some light snacks and tea. And he asked if he could get someone to help with his foot. And he's like, I don't have any money to offer you. But sorry, my bad. It's not his foot. It was his daughter's foot. And he had asked if there was an exchange that they could do. I will help heal your daughter's foot if you can give me some food, because I'm starving. I mean, I would be starving too after 21 days of not eating and delirious. So he ended up healing his daughter's foot,
Mm.
this man's daughter's foot. And he was like so completely in awe of his capabilities of what he was able to do. So the father and the daughter, they thanked him, they fed him, and then he went back down the mountain and he started conducting these healings, particularly on beggars. And he started healing all these beggars, and the beggars were getting healed. They started like leaving the streets. They started getting jobs. They started doing, becoming a
Mm.
part of society. And then years would go by, and then he would see a beggar on the street again, and be like, "You look familiar." He's like, "Yeah, don't you recognize me? You helped heal me a couple years ago." He's like, "Well, what happened? Why are you here?" And he's like, "Well, I realized life was a lot easier when I didn't have a job, and I didn't have to have any responsibilities. So I just decided to go back
Mm.
to the street and become a beggar." And that's where the whole energy exchange of, okay, I realize I'm giving this wonderful gift to people, but they're not valuing it. And so there needs to be
Mm.
energy exchange that happens so that they feel that there is value of the healing that comes from it. So Reiki is a gentle healing modality that is channeled through the universal life energy. Think of it as, again, like I'm plugging into the cosmic energy from the stars, and I'm taking all that energy, it's downloading through me, and I'm
Mm.
conducting it through my hands, just like Jesus did. And so it is a practice. You have to be attuned to it. Only a Reiki master can attune you. And it is using through the sacred symbols that Dr. Yusui received on the top of the mountain. So that's just like a little backstory and some history about Reiki. But it's a beautiful, gentle healing modality, and it literally helps to rebalance. So again, imagine you are a musical instrument, you're a guitar or piano, and your strings are not in tune. What Reiki does is simply help you retune those strings so that you can play at your most optimal harmony and symphony. So, and that's how you become your more vibrant self. And so Reiki has helped myself. Like, I have evolved so many versions of myself since practicing it, and helping others. But I've conducted numerous hundreds, over 1,000 hours of practice on Reiki on others, in my private practice. And so how has it helped me is, one, it's grounded me. And it's helped me be really in tune with my higher version, my highest self, and being able to
Mm-hmm.
merge my human self and my spiritual self into my most vibrant self. And it helps me by feeling safe with my gifts, safe with my voice, safe with my talents, safe with the things that I want to create as a mother, as a wife. And it's given me the confidence and the courage to
Mm.
step into my power, into the highest version of me.
I love that. Thank you so much for that detailed answer, because I think it really will help people understand that it's not something loosey goosey. It's actually a practice science, and there's been so much work that's been done around it. You and I can talk for forever and ever, Tasha. I really want to ask you, how can people reach out to you? And if they're interested in the work that you do, or if they actually need some healing, or they want to attend one of your events.
Yeah, you can reach me at raiseyourvibes.co. You can reach me at Instagram, which is, my handle is I am _ Tasha Romanelli. And you can also join me. I have an upcoming wellness retreat, Reawaken Your Spirit, where I'm co-leading, facilitating with my dear friend Sarah. And that is taking place in Puglia, Italy, of July 2025. So we have opened that invitation up to everyone to join us, where we will help you to reawaken your spirit through some of these practices that we've talked about, but also through yoga and some Pilates, obviously through delicious food and some workshops that we're going to be doing there as well. So I'm really excited about
Okay.
that if you want to join. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so reach out to Tasha. It's all about high vibes here. We do
Yeah.
have this intentional wrap up, and it's called the rapid fire. So the first word that comes out of your mouth, or the first sentence, to answer these questions as
Okay.
quickly as possible. Tasha, you ready?
Okay. Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
All right. What do you want to leave behind for the world?
That's a big question, girl. Okay.
I know.
What do I want? More love. More love.
Okay. How will you know you've led an intentional life?
By choosing to live an intentional life.
Love it. If you could create one law that everybody had to follow, what would that law be?
Be kind.
I love that law. Okay, if I know you've had many lessons, but let us know about one lesson that's kind of made you who you are today.
Trust myself.
I love that intuition coming right back. We started off with intuition, and here we go. Full 360. What's the key to a healthy relationship?
Communication.
All right. We get that often. So, for every single one of you who's tuned in this far, thank you so very much, Tasha, for joining us here. And I think this is just a remarkable conversation of just being grounded and being authentically yourself, which I hope you got to see. Um, and as for all of you who are still listening and tuned in, this show can be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and the programming. However, as we close today, my prayer is that this show will embark us on a transformative path to be in gratitude for all the blessings that we have, accept the unfoldings of life, and commit to values and dreams which will allow us to tap into our own greatness. As I have tawakkul, which basically means faith, in every single one of us. When we unleash our authenticity, we start to live a lot more intentionally. Remember, there's only one of you, one life, designed by excellence. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it. Most importantly, use it to live into more intentionally being yourself. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.